Hello, future home buyers. Whether it's your first time or you're buying again, one aspect of this process that probably doesn't excite you is all the paperwork. And I'm going to show you today why that aspect of the process should excite you the most. One of my heroes in this industry always says that real estate's a game of contracts and power players. And while this document we're reviewing today is not a contract, in fact, it states that in the first box on there right under the word important, it is the disclosure that's going to pave the way to having a seamless real estate transaction. And let's face it, this most likely is the largest financial transaction you have made up until this point in your life. These documents, when viewed as a guide rather than a burden, can really walk you through the process, and understanding them is the first step to understanding your transaction. So what we're going to do first is read through this verbatim, word for word, and I do apologize in advance. The legalese can be a little bit dry, but it actually is a very easy to understand document. So we're going to go through it the whole way through because I feel like so many times this is just sent over in a DocuSign email with a little message like, don't worry about this, doesn't cost anything, just sign it. So we want to make sure we're understanding this from the beginning so that you can best select what type of agency you want to move forward with. Working with real estate agents disclosure for buyers. Important. This form is not a contract. Signing this disclosure only means you have received it. In a real estate transaction, it is important that you understand whether an agent represents you. Real estate agents are required to 1. Review this form with you at first substantial contact before asking or receiving your confidential information, and 2. Give you a copy of it after you sign it. This is for your own protection. Do not share any confidential information with a real estate agent or assume that the agent is acting on your behalf until you have entered into an agreement with the agent to represent you. Otherwise, the agent can share your confidential information with others. Note to agent: check all relationship types below that may apply to this buyer. And then below, you can see the 4 or 3.5 different agency types. I apologize, I said no commentary, but I want you to see the structure of this document because hopefully you're reading along with it, me, as we go, so you can just sign it at the end. So type number 1 is buyer agency. If you agree, the agent who gave you this form and the agent's firm would represent you as buyer agent and be loyal to you. You may begin with an oral agreement, but your agent must enter into a written buyer agency agreement with you before making a written offer or oral offer for you. The seller would either be represented by an agent affiliated with a different real estate firm or be unrepresented. The second type is dual agency. A dual agency occurs when you purchase a property listed by the firm that represents you. If you agree, the real estate firm and any agent within the same firm or company would be permitted to represent you and the seller at the same time. A dual agent's loyalty would be divided between you and the seller, but the firm and its agents must treat you and the seller fairly and equally and cannot help you gain an advantage over the other party. And a subset of that is designated dual agency. If you agree, the real estate firm would represent both you and the seller, but the firm would designate one agent to represent you and a different agent to represent the seller. Each designated agent would be loyal only to their client. Any agreement between you and an agent that permits dual agency must be put in writing no later than the time you make an offer to purchase. Unrepresented buyer, seller subagent. The agent who gave you this form may assist you with your purchase, but will not be representing you and has no loyalty to you. The agent will represent the seller. Do not share any confidential information with this agent. Note to buyer: for more information on an agent's duties and services, refer to the North Carolina Real Estate Commission's Questions and Answers on Working with Real Estate Agents brochure at ncrec.gov, Publications, Q&A brochures, or ask an agent for a copy of it. And that will also be attached, a link will be attached in the description of this video. And the very last part of the document is the signatures. So the fields that need to be filled out there will be the buyer's name and signature with date. as well as the agent's name, license number, and the firm name. So if you made it through all 5 minutes of that, I really do appreciate it. I think it's so important that you hear it word for word. But now let me run through the elevator speech on what stands out to me on this document. The first thing is the first line. This form is not a contract. So many buyers tell me, you're pushing things for me to sign, pushing contracts at me right when we first meet. And as you can hear, that is required from first substantial contact. And this is not a contract, it is just a disclosure letting you know the capacity in which we can work together. I also think it's very important to reiterate the third point in that box. Do not share any confidential information with a real estate agent or assume the agent is acting on your behalf until you've gone through this disclosure and then taken it a step further with actually selecting what type of agency you would like. All right, now let's quickly go through the 4 types. Buyer agency, of course, is always my recommendation to you. That gives you an agent with full loyalty, with an ability to negotiate on your behalf with only your interest in mind. Dual agency and designated dual agency do occur. For example, if we're looking at properties and you really like something that I have listed, that's a situation where dual agency could arise. It would have to be agreed to by both the seller and you in this case. And then another option, if you didn't feel comfortable or if the seller didn't feel comfortable with me representing both parties, is somebody else from my firm could step in and represent you in this case, since I already had a pre-existing contract with the seller in that hypothetical situation. And then the last one is an unrepresented buyer. This is essentially, just someone to help you open a door. I do not recommend this. And it clearly states here, the agent who gave you this form may assist you in your purchase, but will not be representing you and has no loyalty to you. The agent will represent the seller. And so essentially you do have a sub-agent of the seller showing you the property with the seller's interest in mind. In no way will they be deceptive or have any of those practices, because that would be against the law. But it just is different than having an agency agreement with, a legal requirement of loyalty and many other fiduciary responsibilities that come with that as well. If you have any questions, please do reach out directly, and I look forward to us deciding on what type of agency we're going to use moving forward. But in order to see all the videos for every document and contract you're going to sign, from this one right here that kicks off the process to your successful closing and getting those keys in your hand, make sure to like and subscribe.